show. With Irish show. With Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. Good Monday morning to you. What are we, 5 weeks away now? 6? Is it 6 or 5? I think we're down to 5 Saturdays now. We're getting there, folks. Hang with me. We're getting there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, folks. We're almost there. I'm getting excited about it. I picked up some more Central Michigan tickets today for a bunch of the people that are going. It's just got me in the mood, logging in and doing all that and getting tickets for an actual Notre Dame game. It's got me in the mood. All right. Now, I say that now, and then when we struggle against Central Michigan, I'm not going to think that. Right. But for now, excitement in the air. OK. And I'm not, I swear to God, if Notre Dame messes around on the day I have a tailgate and have all these people around and it's like my little day I'm setting up. If we play bad against Central or, God forbid, marshal ourselves, the Always Irish tailgates are over. No more Always Irish tailgates, all right? So you better. Oh, man, the Ohio podcast, I got to tell you, I like your little message here. Can you feel it in the air? College football is just around the corner. You know what I might do just for you, Ohio podcast? I have a short, the YouTube shorts that are under a minute. I have one addressing this specific issue I've been waiting to release. And he says, can you feel it in the air? College football is right around the corner. I got something for that, Ohio podcast. I appreciate you being here. Stay tuned. Maybe I'll do that tonight just because we're talking about it. I got something for that exact point, Ohio podcast. I like it. I like it a lot. Thanks for being here, everybody. You can find a program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up as well. That helps me. Notifications on. You and I both know why. That way you alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss whatever rattles around in Johnny's brain. Do you? Might be better off for you overall if you did want to miss the things rattled around in Johnny's brain half the time. But either way, we're stuck together now. It's too late. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Shake. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only. Anywhere you want me, you can locate me. And the call-in lines. 312-988-15. 847 coming to you first. Fighting Irish Wire. Every day you wake up, I'm thinking about Notre Dame. If only there was some media to consume about my favorite team. You type in Fighting Irish Wire in Google, and a bunch of articles come out about Notre Dame. Some of them I might have even written. I know it's hard for some of you to believe, but I can read or write. I don't just yell. All right, everybody. Welcome in, and I hope you had a great weekend. The season is right around the bend, literally and figuratively. See what I did there? It's time to get serious and talk about the anatomy of a kind of tough schedule. Okay? Talk about a kind of tough schedule. So before we get into that, I'm going to let some callers build here, and we're going to do some chats introduction. I want to talk about this schedule in totality, and not only just the marquee three, but where some of the other games are positioned. And there's one block of schedule here that I think is going to be the key of this entire season. And I'm going to focus on some of that block of schedule as we get into this. We got a $20 holler V1 rotate V2. I appreciate it very much. Honest thought, Hartman did not come to ND because he buys into the whole ND. It's because ND was the only place he could go walk in day one to be the starter on a team that could make a run at the title this year. I mean, probably. I don't know. I mean, well, now wait a second, B1. Let me push back on this. I actually got to disagree. Number one is, there's no doubt that this arrangement is mutually beneficial in the way that Sam Hartman's trying to. It's clear he wants to raise his NFL draft profile. Otherwise, he would have just won in the draft leaving Wake. So he wants to raise his draft profile and then talk to Tommy Rees or whatever and agreed to come here and try and do that. Now, the interesting thing about saying he's not buying into ND and he wants to go be the starter on a team that can make a run at a title. Let me ask you this. And I don't know if everybody knows this. I don't know if I'm not supposed to say this or if it's common knowledge. I don't know either way. Everybody does realize Tommy Rees was trying to get Hartman to leave Notre Dame and follow him to Alabama, right? So, like, right then, if Hartman wasn't bought into Notre Dame or whatever, when Rees went over to Alabama, he was reaching out to Hartman going, nothing's official. You could leave Notre Dame and come over here. He would be this. If Buckner's lining up to maybe be the starter at Alabama, Hartman definitely would have been the starter. And nobody could argue there isn't more talent to work with on that roster than ours. So in that way, and then I understand Marcus got involved, calmed that all down, and got things to settle. There was a window there where Alabama was in play for Hartman, and back out and doing the draft thing was as well, I believe. So I do think him sticking with Notre Dame, kind of says that there's more to it than just going to the team with the highest talent level or whatever, because he did ultimately stick with us. Don't think he didn't have opportunities, though. I know Tommy Boy was going, buddy, you have the relationship with me. Now I'm over here. We have more talent over here. Let's go over here. But he did end up staying. But it is interesting. It's not the typical Notre Dame path to have these guys that are so experienced and most of their career over with, not Notre Dame guys. I'm still adjusting to the newness of having these guys come in here that fast. And then there are guys, but it's just not the way we're used to growing up with Notre Dame and how we typically field teams and all that. So let's do a couple introductions on some of the good comments people said. And then I'll go to 847. You're going to be first. Don't hang up. I want to get to you. It looks like 847 might be a new caller. I don't see a big call log, so we'll see what's up with that. See what we got. 40 days and counting till kickoff. Are we down that low? Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, man, I can't wait. What is Mark with glasses here? King Editor coming up with some good edits to some of my videos. I love you, Mark. A tough schedule. Shouldn't have an FCS opponent on it. It's a poop stain and an otherwise clean sheet. We attack SEC teams for doing it. It's an unnecessary bad look on an otherwise challenging schedule. I was against it, and it had nothing to do with what team it would be. Just like take that part out of it. The concept was I enjoyed Notre Dame being the last of, I believe, two teams, us and USC, that have never gone down that FCS road. And that was always a point of emphasis and pride for me. USC was supposed to lose that. USC was scheduled to lose that a few years ago. And then they backed out of the contract of that FCS game and did something else. So I believe it was us and them, and now it's just them. I don't like that at all. So I was against it for those reasons. You could find a lower level team to play, but not bump down to FCS and keep that. It was a sense of pride to me. It was something that I always used as ammunition when people would debate Notre Dame's playoff worthiness, the type of schedule and everything. And I'd say, well, take our 12 to your 13, but minus your 1 against the high school team. Look at it that way. That's all gone. The reality is the times being what they were, NBC and Notre Dame and everybody, they wanted to build this up, the Tennessee State thing. Marcus's history with their coach at Ohio State, pull in the HBCU thing. Like, it's going to be a big production. That's the whole angle. I'm not asking whether you want to do that, don't want to do that, what your thoughts are on that. But that's clearly what was in play here and why they did this, because they look at it as a unique showcase thing that'll be good. It'll make Notre Dame look good. It'll give Tennessee State a chance on the big stage. Marcus has that history with their coach, all of that. Okay. So it is what it is. I don't like it either. Yeah, but it is what it is. Mark says, not sure the importance of strength of schedule anymore. Last year, Georgia had the 63rd. It's a beauty contest. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. Here's what I'm waiting for them to do. This committee does not seem to have the willingness to penalize a Power 5 team for playing nobody. And it's like, I get you can only control the teams that are in your conference and how good they are. What are you going to do about it? Like, you can't make them all better. But what you can control is not scheduling all high school teams on purpose in your non-con. So, like, if you wanted to argue, what do you want a Power 5 team to do? The teams in their conference aren't that good and they got a lighter schedule this year. Fine, but you should then be penalized for scheduling nobody and not trying to be challenged in your non-con, because you can control that. All right. A team like Michigan scheduling the way they are for a reason, to give them the easiest possible route in. And it's the Big Ten. So if they run it, they're in. Nobody's going to question it, even though their schedule's weak. Now, here's where this balances out probably is when we get into the 12-teamer. Then I think that balances things out a little bit more, because you're going to have a way bigger net to have a tougher schedule and lose a game, maybe even 2 and get in. I don't know. It takes the strictness off that, how many teams are getting in. But I've always had a problem, and I think I put a short out yesterday about this. I've always had a problem with the way the committee navigates. When they give their rankings, then they do that lame interview with softball questions on ESPN with Reese Davis or whatever. And then they just use whatever reason and rationale they want to apply for this week and the team they're talking about. And then the next week, it's a clean slate. They look at things totally different, use different rationale for a team. And week to week, it's a clean slate. And they make up whatever they want to make up to make it work for their narrative that week. Nobody could question them. 1 week, they're picking a team for strength of schedule. And then it's the eye test. And then it's overall how they... Every week, they use different reasoning and rationale to defend what they want. Nobody could question them on it. The target moves. There's no consistent philosophy. There's no principles you can count on every week for their reasons of why this team's there and there. They make it up every week, and there's nothing you can do about it. They know how they're going to go, and then they get the reasoning afterwards. You get what I'm saying? They know what they're going to do, and then they have to come up with the reasons afterwards to justify it to the media. I don't like that. So at least when you get into the 12-teamer, you are not as beholden to this group keeping your life or death in their hands. I've said it before. I'm going to feel a lot less bad for team number 13 that gets left out than team 5. All right. So there's a bigger leeway there for this clown group to be able to include the teams they should. Look at it that way. Yeah, he likes the BCS formula. I could get that. I get that. Oh, boy, look at this. 847, I'm getting you. Don't hang up. Stephen, morning, Irish Nation, our fearless leader, John. I introduced my wife to the Saturday night show. She said I have issues. Yeah? Tell me about it. How do you think I feel? I know I have issues. It is funny, though. Do you know how many at the events we've done, how many of the wives I've gotten to meet, and they all just shake their head and they go, "You're that guy yelling in the living room on the TV, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah, I am." And then they all end up saying, "You're not as bad in person as you are on the TV. There's just something about it." I'm glad I have that effect. C. Jones, Mike Jones, 23 season has challenges and trap games. Puts a spotlight on Freeman to have this team ready every week, starting with the NC State game. C. Jones, you're going down my road here. I like this. When does fall camp? I don't know, 3.5 weeks, I believe, something like that. Jay Lehman, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, by the way. Need more people in the world like Jay, and the way he processes and thinks through the world, and very thoughtful person. Jay, a tough schedule is a double-edged sword. It can build strength, confidence, and experience for the CFP, but it also means going undefeated is less likely. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword indeed. And it's really tricky with Notre Dame too. You got to make it all happen in the regular season. There's not that extra conference championship game. You got to make your moves when you can make your moves. And again, the other thing is Notre Dame, even with Kelly, some of those schedules on paper looked a lot harder than they ended up being in practicality. And it wasn't because of lack of brand names on the schedule. It was because they just weren't any damn good. Like, I don't know what you wanted us to do to make USC better than they were the last 10 years. Florida State was on that schedule when they were trying to get back up to speed. And it's like, okay, I got Florida State on there. I got USC on there too. It's not our fault. They were both down in that window, but you can't say we didn't try and schedule anybody. Those are brand name teams that should always be competitive, in my opinion. There is no reason Florida State and USC both should not be competitive all the time in football. Okay? So it just varies. Just varies. I love Domer guy. I love a tough schedule. Lets you know right where you fall. Also, paint that house green on September 23rd. Telling you. The model now, I think, suits ND better with the tougher schedule. Well, you're going to be tested. And I mean, yes and no. You're going to definitely be tested. Or I don't know if you're thinking more of you could have a tough schedule if you're Notre Dame and drop a game and still make the playoffs starting next year, where presently, I believe most years, if Notre Dame has one loss, we're out. Until I see that we're in with one loss, I'm counting us out with one loss. It's the most logical way I know how to do things. Andrew wants Notre Dame to reimagine their schedule moving forward. Conference realignments created 2 power conferences. ND needs to play 3 SEC, 3 Big Ten teams every year. But what's the need for it? Like, for what? To make the playoff or truly prove yourselves in the eyes of everybody else? Like what's the benefit of having that tough of a schedule on purpose? Is it purely like just genuinely to get better and test yourself, which is something we value, but we're not going to if there's a few losses in it, right? I think people are going the other way, scheduling lighter. I really do. Look at the latest draft. SEC Big Ten domination in terms of players drafted. ND needs to cancel the ACC agreement. Schedule more SEC games. If they don't play the SEC, they won't get better. Well, you're going to get your wish. You got Jimbo Fisher week 1 the next year. And then I believe we have series coming up with Alabama and Arkansas, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. So you're going to get some more SEC. You got Alabama coming on the schedule. Let's see if it's going to be Saban or Reese at the helm. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, man, that'd be wild. That would be wild. Oh, man. All right, let's take a call, and we'll keep scrolling through. 847, you're on the air. Good morning.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well, my friend. Thanks for giving me a call bright and early on a Monday morning. We're at the light at the end of the tunnel, my friend. Football season's right around the corner. What's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, football season's pretty close here. Honestly, I'm liking the schedule we're having. Like, we have the perfect team for it too. Like, basically, this is a prove-it season. Can Freeman really play against, some of the top names of college football? Or are we going to struggle?
Yeah, it's a well-rounded slate. Like, that's what I like about it. You're getting a little taste of everything, man. You're going to get, especially the marquee 3. I love how that sets up. Just as far as Notre Dame's profile, I like being able to say, we are playing a team that should be in the running to win the Big Ten or favored to win the Big Ten, if not number 1, number 2. USC favored to win their conference, and then Clemson as well. that is very well-rounded. I like going after, having the top end of those three conferences here. And so, but there's a lot of other traps throughout. Do you agree with that? We look at those big three. There's some tricky games if Notre Dame sleepwalks.
Yeah, honestly, I see the biggest trap game to be Duke, just because Duke had a winning record last season. They played, teams like Pitt pretty tough, and then how do you call it? I think they're returning 18 of their starters. So I think that will be a pretty big trap game. And then, of course, you got some other games like Louisville. I think, Pitt's pretty difficult. And then Wake Forest at the end of the season, like, I heard they got a new QB too there, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that'll be a little interesting dynamic, right? A little revenge factor there for us taking their guy. And Duke, here's a couple more things about Duke. I appreciate the background on their returning starters. That's very informative. I believe they were a 9-win team last year. They have an old Notre Dame guy that we all respected and liked very much in charge. He's running a good, clean program. They're kind of on the rise. Here's the other reason that game makes me nervous is whether everybody that likes Notre Dame, players, coaches, fans, everybody, whether we are happy or miserable after Iowa State, the emotions are going to be drained for that next week. You could already feel that vacuum build up of pressure and all the big lights and attention on Ohio State. Whether we're happy or sad, it's going to be hard to refocus that next week for Duke on the high end or the low end. Do you agree with that, or am I overthinking it? I just think the air is going to be out of the balloon, whether it's good or bad, and we're going to have to fight through that Duke game energy-wise, all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, like, if you beat Ohio State, now you're probably overestimating Duke and stuff, and it might not play up to your standards. On the other hand, you're probably depleted if you lose. So it could work against us, but I'm pretty confident. And how do you call it? Like, instead of last year, like how last year after Ohio State, like, we weren't playing like how we should have been playing until near the end of the year. Like, I think Freeman will learn from that. I think he'll get the boys like ready.
Yeah. And you know what else, man? You bring up something else I've been asking most of the offseason, and it's a question that I think about is, how you always hear about football teams making a big jump in quality of play from week 1 to week 2. You kind of work out the rust and get situated. I'm wondering what is reasonable for us to expect improvement-wise from Freeman year 1 to year 2. He should be more comfortable, like have his legs under him a little more. As far as managing game day, where he needs to give more attention or less and do this and that. In-game coaching decisions, timeouts, when to put the gas down and go for it versus when to kind of hold the ball and go slow. Like all of those intuitive feel things that head coaches have. I don't know how to gauge that, but we need to see Freeman get more comfortable year 1 to year 2. Don't you agree?
Yeah, honestly, like compared to the start of last year versus the end, like I've seen Freeman grow tremendously in his role. And honestly, like I think as long as Freeman at least keeps his composure from the end of last year, we should be good to go for the start of this year. But yeah, he's definitely got to keep improving, keep learning. I mean, he's got a lot of good, how do you call it, like assistant coaches on the staff. So that super helps when you're surrounded by a lot of, NFL level experience and stuff. And I think, like Freeman will do pretty well this season.
Yeah, it's a very, very big year for a lot of reasons. The recruiting has Notre Dame fans are always worked up about that. You have a great year, a lot of showcase games to be able to kind of change some narratives there. And the other reason that it's such a big year for Marcus is there's a lot of big changes from year 1 to year 2. The rosters flipped significantly, a lot of, new coaches in the mix and all that. This is a big calibration year, man. He's got to get this on solid footing here, year 2, trending up as we enter this new playoff period. And the whole college football is going to change next year. I just want Notre Dame to be positioned well to enter that new era, whatever it's going to look like and feel like.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially, this year, I feel like we got to be able to get it down well, just so we get a track record under Freeman they could use to convince the recruits, because we know that Freeman's a good recruiter. Like a lot of other staff, like D-Land and Chauncey, like they're good recruiters, but like some of these 5 stars that are leaving, and like they're committing to other places. Not because like NIL just that, but also because they got track record. Like you got Ohio State making the football playoffs every year. You got Clemson who won a couple championships. Like the SEC schools, like all that. So I think this year, like we gotta make at minimum, we gotta make the semis, if not the finals. That's so like we could keep some of our higher blue chip like prospects for 2025.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I am one of the things on my notes that I wanted to go over, but I wanted to get to you before was Notre Dame is getting some national recognition for having a challenging schedule already. I've seen multiple clips of national shows and recruiting guys and everything else talking about Notre Dame's schedule this year and that it's the real deal. And they say, a lot of opposing fans that hate Notre Dame always say, no matter who's on the schedule, Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. Notre Dame didn't play anybody. You hear it all the time. And it's just not the case, especially this year. And so Notre Dame has all the opportunity in the world to change narratives, change minds, open eyes, and prove a lot this year. We got to see it. Last year was rocky. And the other thing is, you can't have any Marshalls and Stanfords. Don't you agree? Like those are up. You used them up in your year one, getting used to being a head guy. You can't afford it this year. The schedule is too tough to drop dumb games.
Yeah, like honestly, yeah, that's like what I said. This is a prove it year. Like, last year wasn't as bad as that like 4-8 Kelly year, but we cannot be losing to those kind of teams. I mean, that was pretty ridiculous, and the only reason why everyone looked past that was because we had that big game against Clemson. But yeah, like those, especially with this schedule, we cannot be dropping games.
Yeah, but you do bring up a good point, though. We had some incredible lows. I mean, morale was really low with the Marshall and Stanford thing. And that makes you wonder what is going on. How do you sleepwalk through games at home? You're favored by 17.5 points in both. How could you do that? And you're asking what the hell's wrong with our mentality. And then they turn a switch on and just beat the brakes off of Clemson. And the game was never really in doubt from halfway through the first quarter on. And I never saw Kelly lay the wood on a top 4 undefeated team. I know they had issues. They were leaking oil. I admit that. But at the time, they were an undefeated top 4 team. And it wasn't close. Like on the high end and the low end, we got it all last year. Where's the reality is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, to be honest, like, especially with just Freeman coming in and like being a super new coach, I think like he had to get the program confident around him and then hopefully turn around. I think BYU was before Clemson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think having that win against BYU definitely helped as well in terms of just the mentality shift. Like, we could go out there, compete with the big dogs, doesn't matter if we lost to Stanford Marshall, but we got to be prepared from, like the day before, the week before. Like, we just got to fix ourselves. And, it was great. Like, honestly, the end of the season, like, it's so bad, like, forgetting, we had the Stanford Marshall thing, because without those debacles, like, we were for sure, like, in the college football playoffs. But, like, things happen, and at least hopefully Freeman will learn from that, and that won't happen again during his tenure here.
Now, let me ask you this question. And I don't know the answer to this, and I'm excited to find it out, though. When you're looking at like, last year Notre Dame and the struggles, a big part of it was that we had the quarterback issue and the wide receiver issue. Not your starting quarterback was down most of the year, and then we had wide receiver depth and reliability issues most of the year too. I don't know how to calculate with Hartman. How much does that raise the bar of what this team's capable of being? Just having a quarterback that can make all the throws and make the reads and do all the stuff you need him to do. We are not used to that. We have not had that in a very, very long time. Even all the accomplishments and wins Ian Book had, I didn't feel like he was this kind of passer that can open everything up. He wasn't. So how much do you think that raises the ceiling of what's possible for Notre Dame this year, having a quarterback that could do that and really test the defense sideline to sideline?
Well, honestly, like, Hartman's seen his teams on our schedule before a lot, and We've seen what he can do against them. And I think, Hartman with the mediocre O-line at Wake Forest was able to do what he did. Imagine what he could do with those 3-year tackles we got in B-Fish and Day Alt. And, with all that kind of protection, Louisville, like last year, wouldn't happen. He's not going to be throwing 3 interceptions because Louisville put on a ton of pressure if you saw that game. Like, that's not going to happen here at ND because, our O-line is like levels beyond Wake Forest. And I'm really expecting Hartman to be a Heisman candidate here and, take us on to, top 4 in college football playoffs.
Man, that would be a terrific year 2 turnaround. And with this schedule, especially, nobody could say, oh, Notre Dame caught a break on an easy schedule year, and kind of sleepwalk their way in there. Kind of like Kelly's last year, where the toughest game was Cincinnati at home and he couldn't handle it. If Notre Dame makes it into the Final Four, they're going to earn it this year. And that's for sure, my friend. Do you have any Navy anxiety in Dublin? It's over the pond. The timing's messed up. Navy's got a new coach. We struggled to stop the fullback dive last year. Do you have any anxiety about Navy, or will you? Maybe it hasn't kicked in yet. Where are you at on the first game?
That's funny you say it, because I'm going to be at that game because I'm studying abroad over there, but it'll be a pretty good game. Like,
are you really? That's amazing. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, hopefully, the boys can turn up and stuff, but there's gonna be a huge Irish presence over there too. Yeah. So I'm not too afraid about us being outmanned at that stadium over there, and hopefully we get that done. And I heard Navy's gonna be pretty good this year, but we played them every year. We know their style and tricks and whatever. So yeah, we should be good to go.
And the other thing I like about it is if you're going to do the whole play Navy thing, I do like that you're doing it first, because that allows you all of fall camp in August to be able to work out all your Navy stuff. Like, it's unique how you set up your defense, and there's all this unique to Navy stuff you got to focus on. It's not in the middle stacked between a bunch of games where you have a few practices and then you're in the game. They have all of August to be able to figure out personnel groupings, who's doing what. I don't want to see that fullback dive go for 200 yards again this year. Figure it out. You have all August.
Exactly. Like, this time is not in the middle of the season where you have to constantly changing, practices week in and week out. Like, here you definitely got enough time to prepare. So we shouldn't be seeing any 35 to 32 type of business this season.
Yeah, and you know what else I want to see in that ball game early? Set the tone early for the year. Notre Dame figures they're going to be able to run the ball against Navy's undersized front. We all understand that. I would love see and them let Hartman open it up too, just so we could see it and throw some balls that we are not used to seeing our guys throw. Like, stretch the field a little bit, show that this is going to be an exciting Notre Dame offense, and put on film week 1. Alert to everybody. If you're going to defend Notre Dame, it's going to have to be in the air and the ground. You can't just stack the line on first and second down and then guard the tight end on third down and get off the field. I want people to know this is going to be a tough team to defend all year.
Yeah, I want to see all the wide receivers being utilized. I think all of our wide receivers, they provide a unique value add to our team, and I don't want to just be seeing JT and Tobias. I want to be seeing everyone. I want to even be seeing what's his name, Greathouse and Flores. I want to see the entire cast, be getting catches.
Hey, I think Greathouse is going to have to play. I think they're going to need another contributor, and I think he's going to get plenty of chances to do that. And Thomas is another one that I've grown to appreciate, because in our shaky wide receiver room, he's quietly become kind of reliable. He's not a burner. It isn't going to be any of that wild stuff, but he's at least somewhat consistent, and a guy, can be where he needs to be and catch the ball, do what he needs to do. That's kind of like my anchor, but I need all these other guys to show up. Tobias, I don't know what the deal was last year. He wasn't ready. He didn't know the route tree, all of that. He needs to have a big year. He's a big body. Use him in the red zone. Give that guy chances to ball out.
Yeah, honestly, like even having like the Twin Towers in the freaking red zone, like him and Dion, like oh my gosh, how many TDs are we gonna be scoring from those two?
I would
That
hope.
was fun to watch.
I would hope, because I think there's a lot you could do there, and it's not overcomplicated either. Like you could throw Merriweather a couple fades in the back of the end zone, and either he catches it or it's incomplete. Those are low risk throws. Like there's a lot of things you could do. But I think Greathouse is going to have to be involved early. So and I'm excited to see if he's up for the task. Is that ideal? Probably not, of a guy that young that you feel you need, but that's kind of where Notre Dame's at.
Well, even then, like guys from what, like Round Rock, he won a bunch of Texas State championships. You know, he's the type of guy these schools down south want and will play for. And so, like, why can't he play for us? Like, I got total confidence in him. And, you know, when I met him, like, I thought this kid was a linebacker. He's freaking solid. Like, he's ready. He's ready for the next level for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting. I don't know. It's just the anxiety is building. It's just been a long off season. Notre Dame's had a lot of ups and downs, changes in momentum all off season. Like the offense coordinator changes, recruiting's been up and down. All these questions. Looking at that schedule and the marquee three, it is a big year, man. We're going to get a lot of answers of kind of exactly where the reality of this Freeman era is at. Like that's what I'm looking. We're going to get a really genuine gauge against a tough schedule here to figure out where he's at in year two. And I'm encouraged, but there are things that got to get better.
Exactly. And you know what I think is the key to this year? I think it's going to be the D-line. Whether or not, you know, we have to replace those three guys that are in the NFL now. Like, are we able to do it? From the what I've seen in the practices and heard from people, Onye's looking really good. Nana's looking good. Riley's looking good. But can they do it on the actual game? You know, like practice is practice. But we'll see. You know, we'll see like first 2-3 weeks. Like,
yeah,
how good are they really against opponents?
Well, I'm telling you, when I look at this overall, that may be my number one concern for the year is when, especially in the marquee three, that defensive front is going to be absolutely critical. And I don't want to go into the season feeling negative about it, but it's an unknown. We lost 4 of our 6 top tacklers off that unit and over half of the sack production. When you're replacing that much, it's a question mark in an unknown until I know I can rely on you to do what I need you to do, which is hold up against the run and get after the quarterback. So I am not going to have a good gauge on where that is until after Ohio State. It ain't going to be Navy, Tennessee State, none of that, Central Michigan, no. NC State a little bit. But the true first measuring stick of that defensive line and where they're at is going to be Ohio State. And they're going to be facing a new quarterback. I need them to put pressure on the guy. I need them to not get ran on like they kind of started to last year against Ohio State in the second half, get gouged in a run game. So that is iffy to me. It could be good, but I am not counting it as something I can rely on until I see it hold up against Ohio State.
Yeah, like I think same with Ohio State. Like I don't think their O-line is as good as last year. So I mean, we definitely need to be able to get pressure on their QB. Like plus, you know, they have a new QB. Like this is, if you're talking about years, like the past 5 years to be Ohio State, like this is probably the easiest one of the last few years.
Yeah, and think about it, man. I know they have talent everywhere. We're all extremely aware of the talent level in the Ohio State program, but if Notre Dame can't take advantage of a situation where they have a 6th-year starting quarterback and Ohio State has his first-year starting quarterback in that environment on the road, hopefully we're loud and engaged. We all should be wearing the green. Like Notre Dame should have the advantage in that situation. And that's what makes it even more important that defensive front comes ready is Ohio State, we know they have all that talent on the outside. Notre Dame needs to stop that quarterback from finding those guys. So don't give him that time. Speed up his clock, get in his head, make him rush. You know, like all of that is defensive front stuff, and I need to see it.
Yeah, like, and I do not want to see nobody fucking selling their tickets to a sea of red at our game. Sorry for the profanity, but it just pisses me off to see how in these big games, a lot of times freaking people don't show up, and now you have a whole sea of opposing fans. Now you can't even hear your own fans. Your own fans are quiet in the first place.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. My argument for this has always been I am never going to be in the position to tell somebody else what to do with their finances or their money or what they want to do. My argument is if you're in a position where you got 24 Ohio State tickets or whatever to sell somehow through your business or whatever, your connections, I have no problem with you wanting to make money and sell your tickets. Just why not make the one extra step to make sure they end up in Notre Dame fans' hands? It's not that hard. Every time I've sold tickets, I take one extra step to email an interested party or whatever and make sure they're Notre Dame people. Like, I don't mind if you want to flip them, but kind of be careful about where they end up would be responsible to me, or I don't think you're a good Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, like even nowadays, like it's so easy to meet up with people and sell tickets and stuff. Like, there's no excuse to be giving tickets to opposing team fans. Like it's been a joke. Like, the past few years, like, Notre Dame Stadium is easiest for the away teams to play. Like, it's time for that stereotype to end. It's time for us to, like, retake the home stadium advantage.
Yeah, man, it's about time. Like it's just all about the vibes, man. Notre Dame's all about the vibes, and you can just feel it when it's good, when it's bad, when we're anxiety. You can feel the energy in Notre Dame Stadium. It's a very alive and changing thing, and you could just kind of always feel it. And so I don't know, but it's a big year with a lot of attention on Marcus Freeman and. A lot of just the perception this year of Notre Dame is just kind of hanging in the balance here. What would your schedule prediction be if I made you pick one? Where do you think we'll fall?
In terms of like a win-loss record?
Yeah.
I think we'll end up with one loss.
That'd be a good year. That'd be a really good year. I mean, with this record, one loss, Notre Dame should be looking at, if not in the playoff, right on the outside with this schedule, especially. We finished number 5 with the schedule that didn't have any of this meat on it before.
Right. Honestly, I think, like, with this kind of schedule, we got to be number 4 at least with one loss. Like, it's, we're our mid, like, the teams we're playing in the middle of the pack, like even those guys, they have winning records and really solid conferences and stuff. Like, there's no excuse for us not to be in the college football playoff with just one loss.
Yeah, it's going to be, man. But even I said this on the Saturday night show. If Notre Dame won 11-1 this year and didn't make the playoff, we would be bitterly disappointed about the outcome of this singular campaign. However, the bigger picture is things are trending up for Notre Dame. Like, if you end up 11-1 this year, even if you miss the playoff because too many teams went undefeated or something and there's nothing you could do, man, that would be a great year. And we would be disappointed and frustrated. But overall, it'd be a big relief. It'd be like, okay, Freeman's figuring out what the hell he's doing and we're trending up. It should help recruiting and all that. I know it's still going to be a challenge, but you can't tell me 11-1 doesn't help more than 8-4 when you're trying to recruit. All right. It just does help. I can't measure how much. There's just a lot on the line, but 11-1, no matter what it looks like and who it's against, would be a big picture, major win for Freeman overall.
I would say that just with a condition that we also win our bowl game, the New Year's Six bowl game. So I know, like, we've had a past, like, struggle in our history of those type of games, and being able to get over the hump there can definitely, push things forward when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, it's just, here's the thing, man. It would be really, really nice to knock off that big bowl game thing. Okay, I'm sick of the tweets. I'm sick of being trolled. I'm sick of the memes. But I believe it was January of 94 was the last major bowl win. And that is just truly embarrassing. It really is. I mean, I'm surprised you can't luck into a win in that window of time and face a team that all their guys were hurt or had a bad day. Like, we have caught no breaks and made none of our own in any of those games for like 30 years. And we need to end that.
Yeah, like especially with the new staff and stuff, like new look ND, just change the entire thing, change all the stereotypes. Yeah, like it's one thing. Like if that USC game, like it's 2 top 10 opponents, I expect our stadium to be the type of stadium like at Penn State whiteout games. Like we need to have that kind of freaking stadium where
never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. It's just not how do I say this? Like the DNA of too many people that would be at our biggest games in that environment does not set up for that kind of electricity. I don't know how else to say it. It's especially for the bigger games that are priced really high. Then you get even more of what I call the wine and cheesers, some 60-year-olds about to retire, got a lot of money from their law firm, and we're going to go to the game and sit there and be quiet. Like, there's just a lot of that, man. And I don't know how you change that. But I will say this on the flip side, the energy for the Clemson game last year was really great. Like, I admit, I am a harsh judge of Notre Dame fans of the environment. We were loud and people were engaged, and I thought we had that place rocking. Everybody, that was a good vibe.
Yeah, like especially with these big games, that's when we really turn up. But against like the mid-level opponents, like we're super quiet and stuff. Like people don't really engage with the game, and they leave after halftime. I'm like, bro, you pay for all these tickets and you ain't watch. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's what I always say. My example of the wine and cheese crowd that I always rant against. My best example of that is, I will never forget this, at the Bush Push game in 2005. Halfway through the fourth quarter, when Brady Quinn was making his drive, or towards the end of the fourth quarter, when Quinn was making the drive to go ahead, the family next to me, they were like, "Oh, nice to meet you, John. We're going to hit the road early. It's been a great day here. We want to beat the traffic. Like, we had a wonderful day." And it's like they were completely disconnected from what they should have been feeling and what was going on in that moment in the Bush Push game. It didn't register to them. They came there to talk to their friends, have a picnic in the quad, and they wanted to beat the traffic home in the middle of that game with everything on the line in that big of a moment. It didn't even register to them. They just wanted to be there and say hi to people and whatever. Like, I'm not telling people how to live, but I don't live that way.
Yeah, to be honest, many people like view it as a social event, and it's like, dude, like this is sports. This is one of the best teams in the country. Like, if you're gonna show up, then you got cheer for your team. Like, just it's so annoying. Like the talking on all that, keep that to the tailgates. Once you're in the stadium, it's time to watch football.
Yep. And I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. The fan base is kind of unique. I do admit, since the renovation, the Crossroads, and with the Jumbotron, it has gotten louder in there. I like some of the things they're doing to kind of create some energy. The light shows for the big games, like that stuff does help. It is louder in there, but where it gets tough is games like Marshall last year, Cal last year. It's hot in there. There's no energy. Nobody's excited about the opponent. That's where the fans sleepwalk a lot, and then the team does the same thing, and then we're in trouble.
Yeah, like for some reason, I don't really like it, but I think it might be true. It's like the players kind of bounce off the fans' vibes. So like you see against Clemson and stuff, or I remember even that USC night game 2 years ago, the players were really into it. Like they were hyping up the crowd and stuff, and like everyone had high energy and they were playing good football, but like everyone's quiet. Players are freaking sulking against Marshall and stuff, and we go and lose. So I think part of that is like the players, they got to be able to use the crowd when it's helpful, but they got to be able to ignore the kind of low energy too.
Yeah, it's very tough. It is tough. And listen, I know it's human emotions can't be faked like to this extent. Like I don't expect the natural energy for Central Michigan coming to town as Ohio State. I realize you can't manufacture that vibe of bigness that ball game's going to have, but that's where your team leadership has to be focused, and you got to make sure your guys are ready all the time. Like, where was the leadership last year to make sure these guys were ready against Stanford and Marshall? And when they weren't, no one was there to snap them out of it and go, we're sleepwalking here. We're on the verge of disaster. Wake the hell up and play ball. That never came last year.
Yeah, hopefully, like with all the new guys and stuff, and hopefully, like we're able to rally around like a 6-year QB. We got really good experience on the O-line with their tackles, and then like our linebacking unit. Like, there's no excuse for us to be in the right mindset every game, and especially with Freeman, like learning from all the stuff last year, being a first-year coach, like it's gonna be a failure if we ever show up to a game like we did with Marshall. Like that was a complete joke.
Yeah, it is. And it really did affect everything. Think of the difference in perception and practicality if we were 10-2, lost the 2 games to the brand names, and then you beat Marshall, Stanford. You ended up with double-digit wins in year 1 of Freeman with a tough schedule. Like, that vibe would have been totally different. And it could have been a reality if Buckner wasn't hurt. Like, I don't know, but no one wants to hear your excuses. But everything would have been different. And so we just don't have the margin for that this year. Anything else, my friend? Really appreciate you calling on a Monday.
Yeah. I guess one question for you would be, would you rather take a win over Marshall and a loss over Clemson? Or would you take and just ignore the Stanford? Just imagine if we won the Stanford. Or would you take the loss to Marshall and a win over Clemson?
I think I see more value in follow me here. I've thought about this. I think I find more value in knowing you could win on the high end and knowing that and having that feather in your cap to know you have that kind of ball game in you to do what we did to Clemson. As much as it hurts to lose to a dumb team, Notre Dame's done that forever. I know they're capable of doing that. Kelly had games like that. But I do think it opens some eyes on the high end, what you did to Clemson. And I see some value in that. And I think the fans got a lot of value out of seeing, wow, we didn't ever get that under Kelly. Doing that with that energy and vibe the whole game against the top 4 undefeated team, that was new. And I see value in that. That was the saving grace of last year, and I value it.
Yeah, like we can see what Marcus Freeman has over Kelly is that he can win in the big time. But I want to see this year, can he keep that up? And with SC being freaking incredible, that offense, if we get a win over SC, that's going to change the next 10 years.
Man.
Like, players are going to see that. There's this linebacker from Cali, I think we're trying to get, I forgot his name, but he's a super good linebacker. And, like, those type of players, who usually go to SC, like, we get that on our track record, like, they'll start flocking to us for sure.
Yep. It's a big year, man. It's a big year in a lot of different ways and a lot of different dynamics overlapping. We got to have a good year. Really good call to start the week, my friend. Thank you very much. Have a good Monday.
Yeah, you too. Have a good rest of your week here.
Take care. Hold on a second. I got to write something down here. I got you, 618. You're coming up. Okay, what did I do here? I wanted to hit a couple chats. Huffer Billy, Navy ain't a gimme either. Here's the deal with that. I don't understand how any Notre Dame fan can look at the way we defended Navy last year, or rather, I should say, failed to defend Navy last year, and sit here and talk with all sorts of confidence and braggadocious and being like, oh, Navy's nothing. Like, yeah, Navy should be nothing if you're doing what you're supposed to do. which we didn't last year. If that game extended another 5 minutes, we probably lose the game. We gave up, I believe it was just under 200 yards to the fullback alone last year. And it's just like, it's insulting because it's one of the basic tenets of defending that style of football is not to let the fullback dive kill you and have somebody there ready to, in that gap, ready to hit that guy all the time. Like, that is just high school basic defending their offense, and we didn't do it. So if you want to say we shouldn't have to worry about Navy, I agree with you, but I don't. Given last year, and we got the same DC and a lot of new guys on the defensive front, and we gave up 900 yards to the fullback dive and had trouble getting off the field, I don't like any of it. So you better go in there ready. I'm telling you, I have no patience. I have no patience to see you struggle to defend Navy when you have a freaking month to focus on defending Navy. You don't have a week. You don't have 3 padded practices, and then you're playing them. You have all of August to figure out who you want to do what everybody's role is in these packages, who's got what gap, who's hitting what guy. And go over there and kick the crap out of them. All right? That's what I need. Ooh, Steven says, a healthy Artman, 11-1. I'm telling you, man, even if Notre Dame missed the playoff, if they go 11-1, that is a fantastic year. I will be disappointed with the ultimate outcome. You didn't get a chance in the playoff. But I think more important than this one little window would be where Freeman's at overall. Because, so it would be disappointing, but it'd be it would be an indicator. Okay, Freeman's got this thing figured out. And then if you go 11-1, does that help recruiting a little bit or more than a little bit? I don't know. Baylor, man, he says the service academies are hard to prepare for it. That's exactly what I'm referencing. And here's the other thing too, folks. Playing Navy is a no-win for Notre Dame and on the field. And what I mean by that is just everybody that sees Navy, it's a service academy, you should win. And so you don't ever really get much credit for beating Navy, even if it's a better Navy team. The perception publicly is, little old academy with short guys in a submarine, you should beat them. So you don't get any credit if you beat Navy when they're good. And if you lose to Navy at any time, then you're mocked and ridiculed forever because you just lost to Navy. Then you add in the unique physical toll that comes with playing Navy. And you're like, oh, what do you mean, John? A physical toll? They're small guy. What do you mean? It is a different physical toll when you get done playing Navy and you're recuperating than a lot of other teams because of the way they play. I have heard coaches speak about the unique recovery time, the few days in the window into the next week after playing Navy, because it's just a different stress on your body, the way they play. Those are all things in the mix here. You got the travel over to Ireland. I don't know how much that matters or not. Both teams got to do it. And then they have a new coach. Are they going to, look at it this way? I thought of this. How big of a factor is it that they have a new coach? Is that good for Notre Dame or bad for Notre Dame? A part of me wants to think it's week 1, year 1 for a brand new coach. Are they going to have it all figured out? Sometimes those offenses they run take a while to get on the same page and calibrated a few weeks in the season. Are they going to have that all figured out right away? Or are they going to be kind of trying to put it together? And maybe Notre Dame could take advantage of that. And on the flip side, it's like, I know what I was going to get from Coach Ken from all those years. I don't know what I'm going to get from this new guy. Does he got a couple wrinkles up his sleeve, or what are you going to do here? Is he going to get tricky on Notre Dame because nobody's seen anything he wants to do? I don't know, but it's on my mind. It's on my mind. Huffer Billy, good to see you. ND kicked our ass last year. Thanks for helping put the nail in Streeter's coffin. Yeah, you know what? It's actually a very mature way to look at it, Huffer Billy, is if you're going to go down and it's going to be ugly and you're going to have one of those nights, and trust me, Upper Billy, I've been in your position way, a lot of times where it's just everything that goes bad's going bad and you're playing bad and it all piles on and there's no way out and it's just misery. Look at it this way. It's very mature the way he's processing it, because if you look at that nightmare as the ending of that offensive coordinator and all that, and the final nail in the coffin of like, this isn't working, we clearly need to go in a different direction to get better. Look at it that way. Like, rough funeral to have publicly that way, but at least that ended that so you could get into what you're doing next. And so in that regard, if you're going to go down, at least you got somewhat of a positive outcome out of it, meaning a guy you didn't want to be there's gone, no longer coaching your offense. So you could look at it that way. It's a really great question. 618, you're up next. And I missed you the last time you called. I want to make sure I give you your time. How much is on the players for Stanford and Marshall? A lot. Like, some of it clearly has to go on Freeman and Reese and the prep and everything. Let me put it this way. The defenses weren't great, and there were some big plays against Stanford. We needed to get off the field, and we didn't. And we really needed somebody to step up and make a play on defense against Stanford multiple times, and it didn't happen. But everybody's got to assume blame. Freeman did not have the pulse of his team, clearly, because I don't think he would have allowed us to go in there if he thought we were sleepwalking. So that didn't work. Whatever we were doing on offense, boy genius, that didn't work. Couldn't do nothing. But at the bottom line, where was the player leadership? Where was the older guys? Once things started going kind of bad, pulling together guys in huddle and going, nope, this ain't going to happen to us. This is not going to happen to us. Get serious, wake up, and go make a play or something. Where was the player leadership? I don't know. Everybody's involved. Everybody gets blamed. They have to, right? $5 holler from the Chief. The literal only way I see dumb, horrible losses this season is if the O-line shits the bed like they did against Marshall and OSU and every game last year. All right. Defensively, I went over my biggest concern. It's holding up against the run against teams that could try and run it on you and getting after the quarterback. That's my biggest concern on defense. On offense, you nailed it, Chief. Thanks for the $5 holler. On offense, Kent, it's good to see you, Kent. I really hope your daughter and family are doing well. I love it when you check in, man. You're a favorite around here. And when I first started getting the radio thing really going, Kent was there every day. Really appreciate you, bro. I hope everything's well with the job and the family, for real. Here's what I was going to say about that offensive line. On defense, I have worries up front. The only way I see Notre Dame's offense not taking a big jump forward next year is if the interior offensive line can't hold up. That's it. Now, the wide receiver depth and reliability, and no, I don't have a lot that I know I can rely on there, but I am confident there's enough athleticism there now when combined with what Hartman could do that I think they're going to take a jump, and then Notre Dame's tight ends and running back we feel good about. Interior offensive line is my concern, and it ain't going to probably show against Central Michigan. Shouldn't show against Navy, Tennessee State, maybe a little against NC State, even though I think they may take a little step back this year. You're going to find that out against Ohio State. Okay, you have your twin towers of tackle terror. All right, we love both of those tackles out there, and they're going to go to the NFL and all that. That's all beautiful. What about up the middle? What am I going to get out of those guards? Am I going to get reliable push in the run game? Am I going to get good pass protection? It isn't going to do you much damn good to have good tackles outside, and then you're getting pinched and pushed in the middle. Then guess what you're doing then? Pissing me off because you're going to waste a year with great tackles, and you can't accomplish anything with them because you're getting pinched inside. That is, aside from injury, That is the only way I see Notre Dame's offense not taking a big jump forward, is that dynamic. And I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. Okay. 618, you're on the line. What's going on this morning, man?
Hey, how you doing, John?
Hey, listen, I know you like to talk Notre Dame's schedule. Is your mind changed on anything, or are you still feeling like we're in good shape? I know you like Notre Dame this year.
I still feel like we're in good shape, man. I think we still have one of the better running games. It just, nothing concerned me about the offensive line. It's just the right guard is the only thing that concerned me about the offensive line, because we don't know who the right guard is going to be. The left side is going to be okay. It's the right guard. The right tackle is going to be okay. The center is going to be okay. It's just we need to see who emerges as the right guard.
Yeah, and then you know what else, man? They always talk about offensive lines needing a 2 to 3 weeks to really gel and come together as a unit and all that. And I always get mad at it, being like, well, we played Ohio State week 1 last year. We didn't have 3 weeks to figure it out. Like, but if that is the case, it's a pretty good little break then that you start with Navy and Tennessee State. Notre Dame should be able to figure some things out and not have to be perfect to win those games and those matchups. So they have a nice little ramp up if they manage it right before you get to Ohio State.
I hear a lot of good things about Jagasaw. So, I have not seen him play, even though, I'm living in the state of Illinois, I have not seen him play, but I heard a number of good things about him, man. They say he could be a guard, he could be a tackle. Maybe if we give him opportunity, maybe he can emerge as the right guard.
Yep. We'll see. But I don't know, man. I want to see them hold up against Ohio State. I want to see us be able to run the ball. I want to see good pass protection, because if this offensive line holds up with Hartman healthy, this offense could be really exciting in a way Notre Dame fans are not used to.
And, I hate to go back to last year, man. We was at Ohio State, man. It was a tough crowd, you know what I mean? And they defensive line, benefited from that, but if everybody hold up and they don't sell, I don't care what the record is. Do not sell your tickets against Ohio State, man. Make their fans sit outside the stadium or go to bars.
Yeah.
And watch the game.
Yeah, I've heard that Notre Dame's trying to prevent that as much as they can. And I don't know exactly what they're doing to do that, but I've had people tell me they're aware of that. They're trying to not allow it. I mean, I don't know how much you could do other than when Major League Baseball teams do playoff ticket releases. They will only sell them to area codes or zip codes that are in their state or in their area, so they know who's from the outside. I always get a kick out of that.
Yeah, man. Well, I just feel like, man, if we do that, man, that offensive line probably a feed. We gotta have like the Clemson crowd, man. Like what we did against Clemson last year. We do that, man. We run the ball real well against Ohio State, man. They got to remember, they breaking it. Like I say, they breaking in a brand new quarterback. Everybody keeps saying, well, that don't mean nothing. None of them quarterbacks has got any experience over the last year and a half. So unless it was super blowout games, and man, we got to be like that Michigan team. That Michigan offensive line, because man, one thing we gonna know for sure. I don't care who the defensive line coach at Ohio State is. That defensive line is soft. And that they take the attitude of the coach, that whole entire team, man. That's soft, man. We get the defense going to have to hit the receivers, man. I don't care if you have to take a penalty for one. Let them know we here. We are here. You're not going to run up and down the field on us.
Yeah, it's just going to be. And you know what? I don't have an answer to, man. I just don't know how much Hartman is going to raise the bar on all this. Like relieve a little pressure on the defense and all that. I know it should be an upgrade. I'm just not sure how much. Like how much it raises the ceiling and it gives the defense more room to breathe and not feel like they have to pitch a shutout every week. And if you score more points and hold the ball for longer, it just makes everything easier. I'm excited to see that and what that part's going to look like and how far we could go with that. I'm open to feel differently about this Notre Dame offense than I have for like 15 years, other than maybe like the Kaiser offense was exciting for a while. They put up a lot of points. When was that? 15, something like it, but we couldn't stop anybody. This offense could look really exciting, man. Am I getting over myself here?
You're right, man. I think Hartman, man. I think we have Hartman last year in the Ohio State game, and we're up 10-3. I think we beat Ohio State, man. I think he finished the job. And I think this year, if they jump up 10-0 or 10-3 on Ohio State, man, I think Hartman finished it, man. You know, Buckner, man, we could have finished them last year, and Buckner missed the pass. He missed that pass. It's towards the end of the third quarter, man, and you can't do that, man, especially when you're on the road against a top 10 team, man. That's crowd. They have the crowd out of it.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. It was a rough dynamic, man. I mean, and I know what they wanted to do. It was Freeman's first game, and then it was Buckner in that environment, and they wanted to protect him. So everything was scaled down, scaled back to make it more manageable for him. They didn't want to push it out of their comfort zone. But Ohio State had too much talent for you to be able to score a lot doing it that way. They just weren't going to allow you to be that conservative and do it. And then that put all the pressure on the defense. This is a totally new dynamic. I need our defensive front to get after Ohio State's first-time starting quarterback, rattle that kid, move the clock quicker, and make him throw you the ball a couple times.
And I'm starting to, like, every day, man, to feel like, man, maybe the defensive line is going to be good because I'm looking at what the spring game, you know. I go back and when I watched the spring game, and I was like, man, the Baptiste kid, man, man, how energized he's going to be, you know, in that Ohio State game, man, and I think, man, we beat them, man. I don't think we just beat them. I think we beat them the same way that with Hartman, man. I think we beat them the same way Michigan beat them.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, they got their number. Whatever they figured out, it feels like Michigan is built with one result in mind to beat Ohio State. I feel like their whole thing is built just for that one game where Ohio State's able to take advantage of all these other teams week to week to week. And then they lined up with Michigan, and Michigan just like whatever they were doing was exactly made to be able to stop them the last 2 years. It's been wild.
Because they did what they caught on to what, man, everybody else should caught on. They're not scared of Ohio State anymore, man. They know that Ohio State is soft.
Yep, and they did get pushed around. I mean, it's been a bad look for Ohio State, and so they better figure it out.
And I'm gonna say this, man. I mean, I love the Justin Scott kid, but he made. I mean, I understand everybody keep talking about Larry Johnson sending all these kids to the NFL, man. But let me tell you, all you got to do is look at the last 2 years, man. Like, come on, man. Come on, look at the last 2 years against Michigan.
Yeah,
the defensive line is extra soft.
Yeah, yep, it is. And then you start wondering, have they figured that part out this year? They have questions about some of the offensive line. And so when you're talking about questioning their physicality up front, is Notre Dame in the position to take advantage of that? If they're a little vulnerable there on either line, does Notre Dame have the personnel to be able to go in there and take advantage of those matchups enough to get over the hump? Yeah, I'm waiting to see it, man. I hope you're right.
They got the offensive line to take advantage. They got the offensive line to take advantage of their defensive line. Don't show them the game from last year. Show them the Michigan game. This is what you're going to have to do. This is what we got to do. Yeah. We got to do this. We can push them. If they can push them around, we got a better offensive line than Michigan. We can push them around.
Yep. And I don't know, man. And then I'm not going to let this conversation go without reiterating, you got to be undefeated going into Ohio State for all of this vibe to be what we want, for all the energy to be right, for fans to be in a positive mind state and all that. Like, that goes without saying, man. You cannot have a loss going into Ohio State because then if you lose to Iowa State, you have 2 losses and we're not even halfway into the year and it's last year all over again. Everybody's mad at Freeman, and then now it's just going to be a nightmare. You got to be undefeated.
Not only that, man, you gotta. Not only do you have to be undefeated, you gotta them easy games, the Navy, the
prove a point. Prove a point in them.
You gotta prove a point. Yeah. Not only prove a point, you gotta put up. I know that's not the Notre Dame way, but you gotta put up about 60 to show them, man. Look, we're here.
But dude, doesn't it make you sad to be like, I know it's not the Notre Dame way to blow teams out and have a good offense. That's just not our style. Not interested. Oh, I'm interested. And we may have a quarterback that can make it happen. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Let me ask you this. And I don't know how to measure this, but I am confident Hartman is going to make this wide receiver group, wherever they're at as a collective unit on their own, I think Hartman's going to bring that group along because he can make all the throws, make the progressions, know the right timing, put the ball where it needs to be or not. I think he's going to help bring all those guys along, and I hope I see a big jump in production and confidence from that old room.
I tell you what, I think it's the other way around, John. I think the receivers make Hartman look even better than what he was because of with Tommy Rees, man.
Yeah, but wait. But Hartman's more. But Hartman's more proven than the wide receivers, though. And the receivers at Wake were more proven than the ones we have now. So what do you mean by that?
John, you don't have to have proven wide receivers to make the quarterback that much better. Well, you got to remember who was the offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah.
He held that room back.
Yeah, and
he held that room back.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think. Oh, and the other thing is, Chris Tyree could be a secret weapon of death if they use him right. He could find some little areas in a soft spot, give him the ball, and watch the guy go. He could be a ultimate secret weapon for Notre Dame. They're all worried about the run game, and then you always got to worry about our tight ends. And if you get the passing game going, they're going to have to worry about not getting beat deep over the middle. That is where there's a lot of open space. Get the ball to Tyree with one block and then let him jitterbug and go where he's going to go. He needs to be a secret weapon of death for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think Tyree have a big year, man. I mean, that receiver, and I mean, you can line him up in all type of different places. You can line him up in the backfield and run like, run swing passes with him. You can line him up at the man. He's probably gonna be the one, man. You can throw screen passes to him and let him go and get him in open space. That's something that man, we talk about. Like, I hear a lot of people talk about Tyree like at running back, but they didn't utilize him right.
Correct.
They never got him in open space.
Yep, exactly.
I'm telling you, man. Tommy Rees is gonna get exposed in the SEC. He's gonna get exposed if he don't step his game up. He's gonna get exposed in the SEC, and he's gonna get exposed quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and I don't think Saban has a lot of patience. And then also, I want to know, is Buckner going to be the starter or is somebody else? Like, I still don't know how that's shaping up.
I think after watching them, oh my God, after watching that brutal spring game with they two quarterbacks, I think Buckner better than both of their quarterbacks, man. But then again, we got to look at it like this too. Tommy Rees didn't use Buckner right.
Yeah.
So he didn't even use him right because, man, he's going to get exposed, man. And I mean, they're going to win. They're going to win 10 games off of talent.
Yeah, just
alone.
Off talent. Yeah.
But they're going to struggle, because I think it was a bad move for Tommy Rees. Not only was it bad, but I was happy that he got up out of Notre Dame because, man, I was sick and tired of watching him every single week do the same thing that Kelly did.
Yeah.
And then he got away from Kelly and still did the same thing that Kelly did. So can we really blame Kelly, or could we could blame Kelly for the recruiting? And Tommy Rees did try to recruit when he was at Notre that year that he was with Freeman. But over the bad offenses over the last few years, could we blame Kelly? Or could we blame Reed?
Probably both. Probably both. And you know what else bothers me? It isn't just that production level It's the development of those quarterbacks. They never just kept getting better, and the longer they're here under these guys, they get better and better and better. We never had any of that developmental arc. Like something was wrong. So I don't know how it's going to work for him down in Alabama, but it's going to be must-see TV, man. Look at this. You got Notre Dame people at Alabama, Notre Dame people at LSU. Like, it is must-watch TV, man.
I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you know, I was down in Georgia like a few weeks ago, man, and it was a lot of people saying the same thing about Georgia. Like, the quarterback development is horrible down there. You know, they look good in their freshman, sophomore year, and then in the first year that they start, then the production go downhill.
Man, I'm going to tell you this, though. If you're going to have that problem, having 5-star talent everywhere else around is a good way to go about it. Like, if you're worried about your quarterback development, then you should have top 3 classes all over with the talent, and they do. So that helps them quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't see 3 wide receiver rooms, including Ohio State, that's probably better than Notre Dame right now.
Oh, come on. Come on. You have not seen enough to say that. Come on. You have not seen enough. You have not seen enough production out of that group to say that. Come on, man.
John,
are you just hoping? Are you just hoping? Come on.
No, I'm not hoping. I mean, I'm telling you, man. I mean, we got to have the confidence in these kids, man. We got to remember who was the offensive coordinator last year, who held these receivers back. Come on, man. Merriweather catch 1 pass all season, get about 3 targets, catch 1 pass for like an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
That's your deep threat. So what you sit here and say, hey, no, he's not ready. Every week he's not ready. I know that Stuckey was in the room telling he's ready. No, he's not ready.
Yeah, it was weird, man. I just kept hearing, oh, he doesn't know the route tree and he doesn't know all the blocking stuff and everything like with Tobias. And I'm like, dude, we have like 3 wide receivers in the whole depth chart. We need a guy. You don't get to be that picky about perfection when you just literally need a big body that could go make a play for you. Throw the kid the ball, build some confidence.
And then the quarterbacks that we had, man. You're starting Pine, and Pine is looking terrible. It's no way in the world that if Buckner started looking terrible at Alabama, that Saban's going to be like, and I know that Freeman tried. He probably tried like, hey, dude, maybe we need to get this Angelic kid a shot.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing him in the third quarter to hand the ball off. You know, we need to give him a shot. We need a boost, man. And he probably was like, well, you know, it felt like last year we had 2 head coaches. We had the head coach and we had Reese.
Yep. And there's something to that, my friend. There's something to that. I heard there was some rumblings there between Marcus and Tommy. Tommy kind of thought he should have been interviewed for that job when Marcus got it. And then he had the more experience at Notre Dame. And it almost was like a head coach 1, head coach 1B. Tommy thought he was a little bit more than his role and kind of took some of that leadership thing. And that's kind of awkward. It was a weird dynamic there. Tommy, I heard, really did want an interview for that job, and it rubbed him the wrong way. He didn't get serious consideration.
So let me ask you this. How long do you think Tommy he stays at Alabama, man, with the Northwestern job open?
I don't know. It depends on a couple things. One is, let's see how this year goes, and we'll see what his standing is. And the other thing I don't know is he may have visions of taking over for Saban when Saban retires. And I wonder if that is in Tommy's mind of wanting to stay at Alabama and wait out Saban, hoping things go well, and he could just slide over when Saban leaves. But I don't know how many years that's going to be. And he's got to prove it on the field, and we don't know if that's going to happen yet with their offense. So I don't know. That's a big wait and see.
Yeah, because, I mean, if he's really, truly a candidate, could he last to the end of the summer, or could he just say, bump it, I'm just going to
Well,
stick it out at
they
Alabama.
they already promoted somebody on that staff to be an interim this year. So whatever this would be would kick in. It wouldn't be for next year, it'd be the year after. So that's kind of off the table. So so that can all chill out.
Tommy want to be a head coach. Tommy want to be a head coach and prove a point. And what other way to be a head coach is to come somewhere. I don't know how far Evanston is from South Bend, but to do it in Evanston and hope that Freeman flops so he can slide on over to Notre Dame.
Yeah, there you go, man. I don't know. And it's kind of wild with how this is all setting up. We just have to wait and see. Speaking of Northwestern, you know what would probably be a really good fit is David Shaw that just got done at Stanford. He would be a natural fit for Northwestern. Used to the academics, used to recruiting straight A guys. Discipline, like you're not going to have culture running amok on you with David Shaw there. He's going to control the locker room, make sure nothing dumb happens. Although David Shaw might be done with recruiting smart kids and not winning anything big. Like I don't know what he wants to do next, but that's a guy I would call if I was Northwestern for sure.
And I think David Shaw kind of took advantage of the situation when Harbaugh was there and they was winning, and then Harbaugh goes to the 49ers and then he takes over and he have his best seasons with Harbaugh's recruits and then the program go downhill after that.
Yeah, it's so I don't know, man. There is a lot of major storylines in college football this year that need to be looked at that are going to determine the direction a lot of these teams and coaches go in. Like there is a lot of national intrigue storylines all over the country. Notre Dame's a part of them, but there is a lot going on. Hey, I really appreciate the call on a Monday, man. I've seen you pop on and then you must have something to do and you have to hang up a couple times before I can. Yeah, I always want to make sure I get to you when I can, man. I appreciate it. Have a good Monday.
All right, my man.
Take care. Oh, man, I love that guy. He always calls in with something to say. All right, we missed. Hold on. What did I do? There was something I wanted to bring up and question. Here it is. $10 holler from Domer. Leadership with Marshall with a question mark. Senior team captain Patterson slammed his helmet on the ground at game end. Wanted to leave the field. Was pulled back for the alma mater. And by the way, his false start ended a key scoring drive. Here's my complaint. My complaint would be, I need you to slam your helmet down and want to leave the field during the game when you guys are playing bad, when there's still time to change it. Doesn't do me any good after. Doesn't do me any good after that you're upset you guys blew the game. Where was your captaincy in the locker room? I hope you threw your helmet against the locker at halftime of that game, not just after it. Unbelievable. How can you be a football player at Notre Dame and you only have 12 games a year? Half of them are at home. Like every one of those are worth their weight in gold to your life. They're a big deal. How is it possible you sleepwalk in them? I know it's football and I don't understand what goes into being a player, getting up and your mind in the right spot. I just don't get how you can play for Notre Dame and not be fired up every time you run out of that tunnel. I just don't get it. Don't get it. $5 a holler, Adam. What a crazy idea, John. Get your fastest guys in space. I know it's wild. But handing the ball off to Tyree on a run straight ahead, a north-south run, is gross mismanagement of Tyree's skill set. That was never his skill set, is north-south handoff running. So I don't know why that's been his role. Get the guy the ball in space, get him one block, and let's see what happens. That's what I want. Smoke screens, slip screens, have him in a little gap in the zone. There's all sorts of things you could do. Another $5 holler from Adam. Somehow Tobias wasn't good enough to play for Tommy. A couple months later, he's ready to be a star. Explain this to me, John. I don't know. Everybody said he wasn't knowing the play sheet and wasn't knowing his blocking assignments and all that. And that's why he didn't get more play. I don't know, man. I really don't. I don't know. Willie B. Still any plans for Always Irish merch? Yep. Building out the store as we speak, and it should be good to go very, very soon. Definitely well before this season. I had some issues with some templates uploading what I wanted into the new system. They didn't accept the style format it was in, and I had to redo them all, put me behind. But I do have stuff coming out and some creative stuff too. I think you guys will like. Stay tuned on that. I'll announce it when it goes live, and then it's going to be a Shopify store, which enables me to link it in YouTube. So you'll be able to see below the video, like links to the hottest new thing or whatever to click in YouTube. It'll actually be really nice that way. So you'll be able to do that. John Freeman needs to play Tyree like Holtz played 25. I mean, I am all about Lou used to find all sorts of ways to get that guy the ball, whether it's an end around, a traditional run play, passing it to him, leaking him around the edge. Like when you have guys like Tim Brown and number 25, the Rocket Man, you got to get the guy the ball as much as you can in any different way you can. All right. Any different way you can. Mike says, please tell me that caller was trolling about Notre Dame's wide receiver room. I don't think he was trolling. He loves Notre Dame and he wants to see us do well. So I don't think he was trolling at all. I just think he's that excited about what we have going on and he wants it to be good. Wants it to be good. Always Irish koozies off back order yet? Yeah, of course. The day after the Hartman event, I get the email, oh, John, all your koozies are done. Come pick them up. That's just the way it goes for me, man. They were delayed, then they were on back order, and they didn't have the right styrofoam. I don't know what it was, but the day after I needed them for the Hartman event, oh, John, your koozies are done. Oh, thanks a lot. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is, Jesus, look at this. Brian Van Gorder's burner. John, you need to stop getting so upset. Your cardiologist is going to be the richest guy in the Chicago area. I'm telling you what. I just hope that if my heart explodes or something, I hope it's on the air so at least I could get some content run off of it and see you guys later if I have a stroke on the air. Yeah, with the koozies, here's one thing I'm going to do with that. I understand they do kind of crack over time, the lettering. It actually looks kind of cool on mine. The way they have the little cracks, it looks vintage on accident. Here's what I'm going to do for sure. I got this huge box of koozies now. There will be ones to buy on the Shopify store, but they're different than the ones I have as handouts. For Central Michigan, we're going to have a big table with merch. And I'm going to have all these koozies with bumper stickers and stuff in them for everybody to just take a few for their family or whatever. So it'll have like a one packet with a koozie and a card in there and a sticker and a bumper sticker all slid in there. And everybody can just kind of take what they want to take. And so that's what we're going to do. All right, folks, I have some things I need to tend to today, and it is always Irish business. But I have stuff that I need to do. So we're going to end a little early today. I have a Zoom meeting for something else I'm trying to set up here. I'm trying to make some moves. And so we're going to do that. I thank you to everybody who donated. Chief Brody with the $5 holler. I appreciate it. Mike with the $10 holler. Everybody. V1 Rotate. Adam Dowling always supporting the show. Domer, you're here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I will put that short out tonight that the Ohio podcast was talking about can't you feel it in the air? Football's around the corner. Just for him, since he mentioned it, I'm going to put it out, and I guarantee he'll get a kick out of it when he sees the way I talk about this idea with so much love. Everybody have a good day. We'll have that tonight, an episode tomorrow. Back at it Wednesday morning. We're counting down the weeks, baby. Football team's almost here. Be safe. Have a good Monday.